Video we're going to continue working on converting into slope-intercept form when we're given something that's not in the correct form. As a quick review from the last video, if we're given an equation like this, whoops, I kind of messed that up there on the bottom, and you need to solve this for y equals, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to subtract two x's from both sides. So we end up getting 2y is equal to, in this case, is going to be negative 2x plus 6. Now that we have negative 2x plus 6, we're going to divide every term by positive 2. And once we have every term divided by positive 2, we're going to do y equals, we're going to do negative 1x plus 3. Now we can find our slope as negative 1 and our b value as 3 or 0, 3. So we graph and we go down 1 over 1. Remember that this is negative 1 over 1. And we can do this as many times as we want until we're ready to graph our line. So there's our first line and there's our next one. And that is the main review of what we did in the last video. Let's do one more example like that before we get a little bit more complicated. So, whoops, for the first one, we got to draw our line down there, equal sign. I want to subtract 3 x's from both sides. So I get negative 2y is equal to, once again, boys and girls at a dance, they can stand next to each other, but no touching, negative 3x plus 4. Now, to get y by itself, I divide every term by negative 2. So I get y equals, this is going to become positive 3 halves x, and this is going to be minus 2. Our slope is then 3 over 2, and our b value is negative 2, or 0, negative 2. Once we have our b value and our m, we want to graph. So I go down here for 0, negative 2, and our slope is positive 3, positive 2. So I go up 3 and to the right 2, up 3 to the right 2. Up 3 to the right 2. Now, once again, I can go down and left because that keeps me in the same pattern. From here, I can graph my line. And we are done. Now, be very careful with these because a small mistake anywhere in this process can end up messing you up. And I said at the beginning of the year that the longer you go in 8th grade, the longer each of these problems are going to take. And we are now to that point where each problem can take a little bit of time. Now, what if we were given the equation and we needed to, or we're given the graph and we needed to find the equation? So this is the reverse of what we've been doing. Now, the first thing when you're given a graph such as this is we want to find all of the ordered pairs that we possibly can from it to give us a good idea of what we're working with. So from this, I see an ordered pair right there. So that's negative 6, 0. I see one right there. That's negative 4, negative 1. I see that one. That's negative 2, negative 2. And I see one here, which is 0, negative 3. Now, in order to put something into the form y equals mx plus b, we need two things. We need the slope, and we need the y-intercept. Well, we have the y-intercept already. If you look on our graph, it's asking you at what point do we cross the y-axis. Well, that's actually right there. So that means our b value has to be negative 3. So now all we need is our slope, which is asking from one point to another, how much did we rise and how much did we run? So once rise over run. So we can pick any 2 points. I'm going to pick this point and this point right here. So let's circle these two. From here to here, I rise negative 1 and I run 1, 2. So it looks like our slope is -1/2, and our b value is -3. And from there, we can make our equation. Y equals -1/2 x minus 3. And we're done. Not easy, but definitely not impossible. Let's do one last problem. What if we were given the points 0, -2 and 4, 3, and then we had to graph the line from them? Well, once again, in order to make an equation y equals mx plus b, we need to find the slope and the y-intercept. Well, lucky for us, that is the y-intercept. So we know that that has to be 2 for b. Now, the slope is a little bit tougher. We have to find the gap from this number to that number and then here to here. If you remember our rise over run, this was, I think, section 2 from this section. So from 2 to 3, that's going up 1, or a rise of 1. From 0 to 4, that's a run of 4, which means that our slope has to be 1/4, or our m is 1/4. And we are ready for our equation. So it's going to be 1/4 x plus 2. And now that we have our equation, our b value, and our m value, we can graph. So we start with a +2, and I'm going to go up 1 and over 4. Down and back 4 would be the same thing. Nothing wrong with that. And we can draw our line. Right there. So there's a lot to cover in this section, and I know it kind of feels like it's a little bit out of left field, but if you can get solid at this section, it's going to help you substantially in Unit 4 as well. So by all means, if you have any questions, please let me know. Otherwise, we'll see you in